Hi and welcome. I'm Beth, and this week I'll be showing you how to put together a new sewing pattern for Blythe. It's an autumnal pinafore dress with pockets paired with a long sleeve jersey top. The sewing pattern is available free to all my paid Patreon supporters and is available to purchase at bethramsden.com. You'll need some lightweight cotton fabric for the pinafore, lightweight jersey for the long-sleeved top, and I recommend a lightweight iron-on interfacing like this as well. I've chosen this teal jersey fabric for my top, but I don't want to use the striped side, so I will trace my template onto the back, which for me is the striped side. The sewing pattern tells you to cut straight across at the back to begin with, but to trace this line, which we will sew along. The iron-on interfacing will have a shiny adhesive side. Overlay this on your fabric's right side, shiny side facing out. Pin to secure before sewing directly along the line. Here, that's done. Now I'll snip away the excess, leaving a few millimeters seam allowance. I cut small slits into the seam allowance round the neckline, then turn the interfacing towards the inside, pushing out the corners. Protecting the interfacing with a layer of parchment paper, I press to secure with the iron. The shiny adhesive side should be facing the inside now. Next, I'll hem the sleeve ends, fold the top right sides in and sew the side seams closed. I'm using a water-soluble quilting tape here. That's sticky and helps stabilise the folded fabric while I sew. I top stitch 2 parallel seams for each cuff, then close in the sides with a 5mm seam allowance. I cut small slits into the seam allowance at the armpit, allowing the fabric to flex when turned right side out. I open out my side seams and use the quilting tape again to help turn up the lower edge. I top stitch 2 parallel seams again, then turn the sleeves right side out. My long sleeve jersey top just needs a snap fastening or Velcro closure to finish it off. I can dampen the top later to remove all traces of the quilting tape. I opted to stitch on a snap fastening for my closure. On the jointed A-zone body, the sleeves are nicely scrunched and don't fall off the hands. I trace my pinafore pieces onto some custom cotton poplin fabric, printed with my own design. I use a bright red for my lining pieces. I apply fray check to my outlines, allowing it to dry fully before cutting out the pieces. I have the skirt, front and sides, pocket backs and bags, and one outer and lining bib piece. I've cut a piece of bias to use for straps, which I'll close in before cutting into two 8cm lengths. I start assembly by laying the pocket backs onto the pocket bags like this. I'll zigzag the curved edges and secure the other two sides within the seam allowance. This one is done. I repeat for the other side. Next, I grab my skirt front and match it with the correct pocket bag, with right sides together, sew along the pocket curve. Snip the seam allowance and turn the lining to the inside. Top stitch close to the edge. I did 2 seams again. The pocket back should be able to fold and match the pocket curve like this. From the back side, fold the lower edge of the pocket bag in half and stitch along the bottom. Snip the corner from the folded side before turning right side out. This should give you a lovely, neat little pocket. Repeat the same steps for the other pocket. You should have 2 pockets like this. From the front side, within the seam allowance, stitch along the top to secure the pockets in place. Next, grab the skirt back pieces and, with right sides together, sew the side seams. Snip the seam allowance along the curves and press the seam allowance towards the skirt back. Carefully top stitch from the right side. Again, I did 2 rows of stitching. This helps the skirt hold its curved shape nicely. Repeat for the other side. Next, grab the 2 bib pieces. I transferred the pattern marking to help remember which side is the top. With right sides together, align the bib bottom and centre front skirt waist together. Stitch here, leaving 5mm at either end free. Next, we'll match up the lining piece to the right side of the bib, but we need to make sure the seam allowance of the skirt waist is folded down out of the way. Clip or pin this if it helps. Next, we will sew the left and right side of the bib, leaving the top open for now. Again, leave 5mm free at either end. This is because I will slide the straps in afterwards, pushing them up against these side seams. I slide in my straps and clip them in place, with the straps right side facing the bib's right side. Now I can stitch straight across the top, leaving 5mm free at either end, before trimming the corners and turning right side out. The inside of my pinafore looks like this. Now, I can continue folding down the seam allowance of the waist before top stitching twice and then top stitching the 3 sides of the bib. Here's how it's looking now. Next, I'm going to fold in the lower skirt hem and top stitch twice from the right side. I fold the skirt right sides in and stitch the lower portion closed up to the marking on the pattern. To create a nice overlapped closure, I fold in one part of the flap on this side, and on the other side I fold following on from the stitched seam. I hope that's nice and clear. I finger press before turning it right sides out. And your seam allowance should be toward the right if you're following the same directions as mine. This is how it should look from the right side, with the stitched portion and the creased portion running in a straight line. This overlapping closure helps to prevent any unsightly gapping in the back. Next, I'm going to top stitch these 2 creased seams. There we go. And another nice finishing touch is to stitch the lower part of the seam allowance flat, making sure it's facing the correct way. I'm now able to test fit my new pinafore and check exactly where I want to stitch my snap fastening closure. I use a chalk pencil to mark the snap position and also to mark the positions of the straps too. I'll hand stitch them on and trim away any excess. I decided to add a couple of tiny buttons to the bib front, and I'm really delighted with the colours and pattern positioning of this little pinafore set. I think it looks really neat with a pretty silhouette, and it would look super cute with some long socks and boots. I first created this pinafore pattern back in 2021 and made them using corduroy fabric. They were the first finished clothing pieces I sold on my website, although I didn't share the pattern back then. Since the weather's turning autumnal here, I decided to pull the pattern out and remake them with a new top and share the pattern at last. Remember that paid Patreon members will get this pattern for free. Find all the links in the description box below. I'd like to welcome my newest Patreon member, Corinne Marie. Huge thanks to you and all my lovely supporters over there. Your support means so much to me. As you can see here, my autumn pinafore set also fits the genuine or stock Blythe body beautifully as well. My green-haired lovely lady Panacea is modelling for us this week. Well, I'm just delighted with these. I might offer one finished set for sale on my website, bethramsden.com, and you'll find the sewing pattern available to purchase there too. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave me a comment below to let me know what you think of this week's project. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!